Hey everybody, I thought I would do a game of replay baseball today. I haven't done one of a replay in a while. And I pulled out my 1975 set that I got when I ordered the game itself a few years ago. And I decided to bring out the opening day ball game between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds. That was tradition back then that Cincinnati, since they were the first team, traditionally got the home game for opening day, and so every opening day or every opening season started in Cincinnati. So this is the Los Angeles Dodgers playing the Cincinnati Reds. I've also got the game pulled up on my computer, so I can know who's on the roster at the time, and I can also accumulate stats. And I've got the player cards out there. Everybody in the bench and the bullpen are the actual 25-man rosters that started opening day. I've got the big trifold results book, which is a whole lot easier sometimes than flipping through the spiral bound book. Some people have said that the spiral bound book can be a little cumbersome. I don't know. I don't mind the spiral bound book. For video purposes, it probably is easier for the spiral bound book because sometimes it's hard to get the camera up where I want it for the trifold. So what we're going to do is play a game opening day here at Riverfront Stadium in replay baseball. And for those that aren't that familiar with replay baseball, it comes with a replay score sheet. And one of the neat things at the bottom is it's got a diamond that you can write the player ratings in for the visiting team and for the home team. And then there's the score sheet itself. You can see the lineups: Lopes, Buckner, Wynn, Ferguson, Garvey, Say, Yeager, Russell, and Sutton for the Dodgers. And when I wrote these in, instead of taking up the whole block, I tried to use the upper portion. That way for substitutions, I have places to write substitutions underneath. Then for the Reds, it'll be Rose in left, Morgan, Bench, Perez, Concepcion, Geronimo, Griffey, John Vukovic is at third, and Gullett is the pitcher. For anybody that remembers the story of the 75 Reds, they started out the season, about the first month of the season, with John Vukovic as their third baseman. He hit about $150 or less, really ticked Sparky Anderson off. And in fact, Sparky would pinch hit for him in like the second inning. Got Vukovic really upset, and pretty much at that point, Sparky went to Pete Rose just on a whim and said, "Hey, do you mind trying out third base?" And he said, "Sure." So by doing that, it put Rose at third, and it opened up a free spot for George Foster, and the rest is history. The Big Red Machine was fully in force. All right, so we are ready to go. I'm going to try to do this while holding the camera. Don't know how that's going to do. We'll see. Hoping that would work out better because I'll be able to show the cards hopefully better. Hopefully, that's the key word, hopefully. We'll put Riverfront Stadium right back where they belong. We'll put the two starting pitchers over here. Don Gullett for the Reds and Don Sutton for the Dodgers. Right now, it's the Dodgers against the Reds. Dodgers will be batting, so Davey Lopes is going to be the batter with Gullett the pitcher. So I'll put both of them right here easily in view. And then when we check the die roll, we'll come back to the cards, see what we get, and then reference the board, and the rest will be history. All right, so we're going to roll into this box and see what we get. Remember, it's red, white, and blue. That's the order they are determined. Okay, we get a 6, a 5, and a 4. So column 6, just as a refresher, the red die 6 tells you which column in both cards to read from. That's why those numbers are in red. So we're in column 6 on both players. The white die tells you the row of the batter. See, the white die has the black numerals. These have black numerals. It tells me we're in row 5 and column 6, which is a total of 31. So that is what Davey Lopes is bringing to the table, is a 31. All right, now the blue die is a 4, and the number for the pitchers are in blue. Tells us that's what we're using the blue die for. So column 6, row 4, we cross-reference, that is a 1. So 1 plus a 31 is a 32 in column 6. And just as a reference here on the board, column 6, number 32, is a pop out to third. So just that easily, we have our first at bat. I did it rather slowly just for anybody that hadn't seen the game before. It is a pop out to Vukovic at third. One away, Davey Lopes is retired. And now we move on to the next batter, Bill Buckner, left fielder. This is well before he became famous or infamous as a first baseman for Boston. All right, again, red, white, and blue order. That's 1-5-1. Column 1, row 5 on the batter is a 35 for Buckner. Column 1, row 1 for Gullett is a 2. That's a 37 in column 1. And a 37 in column 1, as we bring the results over here, a 37 in column 1 is a ground ball to second, and that's out number 2. So out number 2 is a 4-3 ground out as Morgan takes care of Buckner. One away, and here's Jimmy Wynn. Jimmy Wynn, the toy cannon, I believe they called him. 6-6-4. All right, a 6-6 in column 6 is an 11, and a 6-4 is a 1. That is a total of 12 in column 6. That's not good for the pitcher. Column 6, a number 12 is a home run down the line, although there is an asterisk. You can see there's an asterisk right there. So we go to our home run question mark chart. When you get a 12, we roll 1d6. If it's a 1, it reverts back to a single. Anything else, and the home run's going to stand. So what we're doing here is rolling one die. If it's a 1, it's a single. Anything else, and the toy cannon has put the Dodgers ahead 1-0. It is a 1. How about that? He got robbed. So he only got a single out of it. So Jim Wynn, odds not in his favor there because that should have been a home run, but the dice said no way. Maybe it's the mystique of the big red machine. And so that'll bring up Joe Ferguson, the right fielder. Later became catcher, but right now he's right fielder. He is a catcher part-time in 75 as well. All right, red, white, and blue, it's 1-5-6. So column 1, row 5 is a 4, and there is a little caret there. We'll come back to that if it comes into play. That talks about a sacrifice fly possibility, but we don't have that in the situation. So the 4 is all we need. And a 1 and row 6 is a 2. So a 2 and a 4 is a 6 in column 1. And for any veteran replay baseball player knows that column 1 and a 6 is a strikeout. So that's going to be it as Joe Ferguson takes the whiff. And the inning is over. Nothing doing for the Dodgers. And that'll bring up the Reds. Pete Rose will be stepping in to face Don Sutton. I'm not going to pan as much now. I'm going to try to go a little bit faster and go more normal game speed and just read off the board as I get to it. Here's Pete Rose. It is a 2-5-1. So Rose, 2-5 is a 50. 2-1 for Sutton is a 1. It's a 51 in column 2. That's a ground out to the pitcher. Ground out to the pitcher. And let's see here. Ground out to the pitcher. Pitcher to first. So easy play. Rose knocks it back to Sutton. And there's one away for Joe Morgan. Little Joe. Little Joe, a 6-3-2. 6-3 is a 36. We don't have to go any further. In replay baseball, when there's a 36 in column 6, that is an automatic strikeout, the way the board is set up. So Morgan is out on strikes. That's out number 2. Brings up Johnny Bench. So if you see a guy with a lot of 36s in his column 6, you know he struck out a lot. 36 is not a good one if you're the batter. All right, so 1-3-1. So 1-3 is a 2. And a 1-1 is a 1. It's a 3 in column 1. We've already seen 2 through 6 is a strikeout. So Sutton puts the K on Bench. And after 1 complete, we are scoreless here at Riverfront Stadium. Don Gullett will be back on the bump. And he'll be facing Steve Garvey. First baseman Steve Garvey will step to the plate. The roll is a 2-2-1. 2-2 for Garvey is an 11, and a 2-1 for Gullett is a 1. That's a total of 12 in column 2. 12 in column 2 is a single to left field, so Steve Garvey gets the Dodgers off on the right foot as far as they are concerned with a leadoff single. Brings up the Penguin, Ron Say, or as Paul McCartney might have sung, Ron, say, say, say. All right, that's 5-2-6. 5-2 is a 1 with a K next to it. And 5-6 is a 4. That's a total of 5 in column 5. That's a ground ball to third with runners on and first base open. It's a walk. But it's not going to be a walk because first base is not open. So it's a grounder to third. Infield halfway back. It's a fielder's choice. So they were double play. It's a 5-4 double play. Or 5-4 fielder's choice, rather. Say beat the relay. Not doubled off. And that'll bring up Steve Yeager. Steve Yeager. Yeager. It is a 3-2-4. 3-2-4. 3-2 is an 11. A 3-4 is a 1. It's a total of 12 in column 3. That's another single to left field. Runners advance 1 base. So Yeager singles. Moves Say to second. Runners are at first and second with 1 out for Bill Russell. Shortstop Bill Russell. And we get a 2-2-3. 2-2 is an 11. 2-3 is a 2. That's a 13 in column 2. And that's another single to left field. Let's see here. Runners advance only 1 base, though, so it's going to load the bases with 1 out. And the pitcher, Don Sutton. He has his own card. A lot of the times you have to use the pitcher hitting cards that come with the game, the designated cards, but actually for guys who get a lot of at-bats, they get their own card. So Don Sutton's got his own batting card. And here's Sutton. Bases loaded and 1 out. It's a 1-5-2. 1-5 is a 5. 1-2 is a 2. That's a 7. 7 in column 1 is a pop out to second base. Pop out to second base. Infield fly rule is in effect. And there's 2 away. As Morgan hauls it in. Bases loaded still. 2 outs for Davey Lopes. And Lopes' first time up, popped to third. This is a 1-1-1. So 1-1 is a 50. 1-1 is a 2. It's a 52 in column 1. 52 in column 1 is a possible speed hit or base on balls. With men on base, score as a base on balls. So it's a base on balls, and that is going to force in a run. As Gullett walks Lopes, that will force in Ron Say with the first run of the ball game, and the bases are still loaded with 2 outs. And what I'm looking at was on the chart. I was looking at this result here on the chart. Possible speed hit or walk. But with men on base, it defaults to a walk. You don't have to check for a speed hit. It's simply going to be a walk. And the bases loaded walk brings in a run for Bill Buckner. And Sparky not happy about the bases loaded walk. It's 1-0 Dodgers. 5-5-5. I rolled a 1-1-1. Now it's a 5-5-5. 5-5 is a 6. And a 5-5 for Gullett's a 3. That's a 9. And a 9 is a walk again. So another walk. And Gullett has walked in another run. It's now 2-0 in favor of the Dodgers. And Sparky is beside himself. All of a sudden, Gullett has lost the strike zone. Now he's got Jim Wynn. Wynn singled his last time up. Almost got a homer. Probably should have had a homer. It's a 1-3-4. 1-3 is a 30. 1-4 is a 2. That's a 32 in column 3. And that is yet, in column 1. A 32 is yet another walk. So that is the 3rd consecutive walk. And it will bring in the 3rd consecutive run. The bases are still loaded. And Joe Ferguson, the 9th man to bat in the inning, will step in. Dodgers lead at 3-0. It's a 3-1-3. 3-1 is a 4. 3-3 is a 1. That's a total of 5 in column 3. And column 3 at number 5 is a short fly to left to finally end the inning. But the Dodgers pick up 3 runs, all of them coming on bases loaded walks. And we go to the bottom of the 2nd. Score is Dodgers 3 and the Reds nothing, but the Big Red Machine has the offense to come back. And tough Tony Perez will lead things off against Sutton. Sutton, 3-6-1. The 3-6 category in replay baseball is the left-right split. So Tony Perez facing a righty, he will end up, the book says, that he ends up lining out to the shortstop. But since it's a righty versus righty, he doesn't strike out. He just lines out to the shortstop. Would have been a base hit had he been facing a lefty. Here's Concepcion. Concepcion, the batter. Got a 6-2-2. 6-2 is a 7, and that asterisk could come into play if he reaches. It could mean a stolen base. So it's a 6-2, which gives him a 7. A 6-2, which gives him a 2. That's a total of 9 in column 6. And that is, in fact, a single to center field. So now we'll see about Concepcion and the stolen base. Because of that asterisk, or star, or whatever you want to call it, on his result of that 7. So we go to the back of the book where the rules are. And you can determine about base running. So let's go find those very quickly here, if I can find it. All right, here we go. Stolen bases. Stolen bases. Single asterisk. Roll 1 die against the pitcher's hold rating. If the die is higher, it's a stolen base. So the hold rating for Sutton is a 3. So we're going to roll 1d6. If it's higher than a 3, then it's a stolen base for Concepcion. It's a 5, so it is higher, so it's a stolen base. If it was not higher, he would have just held. He would not have been caught stealing. But Concepcion steals second base because Sutton was not able to hold him on long enough. And that'll bring up Cesar Geronimo. Geronimo, 4-2-4. In column 4 is where you get your fielding checks. So 4-2 is a 2, and 4-4 is the shortstop. Shortstop in this case is Bill Russell. Bill Russell, according to our result here, is a 3 rated shortstop. So we add 3 to the 2 that we have here. It's a total of 5 in column 4. The infield would be back because there's no force play. The man's at second. So it's a grounder out at first. Runners advance 1 base. Runner on second holds on grounder to short or third. So that grounder was a short, which means he had to hold. So that makes sense. The play is in front of him. He's not going anywhere. They're now 2 away. And it brings up Ken Griffey. Ken Griffey Sr. And we get a 2-2-6. 2-2 is an 11. And a 2-6 is a 1. It's a total of 12 in column 2. That's a single. And we got this plus sign here. Now the single is a 1 out, a 1 base advance, but it does say with 2 outs, runner on second will score. So since there are 2 outs, Concepcion will score on that base hit by Griffey. And that cuts into the lead. It's now 3-1. But now we have to go to this plus sign. Remember, the other one was a star. This is a plus. Now the plus means roll 1 die against the catcher's regular defensive rating. If not higher, runner is caught stealing. So the defensive rating for Ferguson is, for Yeager is a 4. So it says that if not higher, caught stealing. If die is higher, it's a stolen base. So you got to get a 5 or 6 for it to be a steal. Anything else, and Griffey will be caught stealing. It's 2, so Griffey is caught stealing. And that's going to end the inning. But the Reds pick up a run, courtesy of that base hit by Griffey. And after 2 complete, it's Los Angeles 3 and Cincinnati 1. All right, top of the third, Gullett's back out there. He gave up. He let 9 batters come to the plate, scoring 3 of them, all on bases loaded walks his last inning. So he's trying to regroup here against Steve Garvey. It's a 3-3-4. 3-3 is a 14. 3-4 is a 1. It's a 15 in column 3, and a 15 in column 3 is a line out to second. And there's 1 away as Garvey is retired. Morgan snagged it. 1 away for Ron Say. Ron Say. It is a 3-6, which again is the left-right check. This time, however, he's facing a lefty, so that's going to be a base hit for Ron Say. That 3-6 column is your left-right check. When you roll a red 3 and a white 6, that is an automatic left-right check. And the batters either have 42 or 47. Unless they're switch hitters, then they have something else, and switch hitters automatically get a base hit. So here's Yeager. Yeager, 2-6-4, 2-6, and we're in the shaded area, which means we're going to Riverfront Stadium to check our result in column 2. So the column 2 is a looping drive. Right now the raised number is a 2, but we're going to roll 1 die and see if that raised number changes based on the die roll. So the new die roll is a 1. So that means the new number now is changed down from a 2 to a 1. So that's going to be a 1. And so the outfielder just has to have a higher number than 1 in his range rating to be able to catch that. And all the outfielders for the Dodgers do. For the Reds do. So it is going to be simply a fly out. Now, is it to right, left? Let's see. The blue die is a 4, so that means the outfielder is a center fielder. So in this case, Geronimo tracks it down. He had a range of 5, so he would have caught it either way. But by lowering it down to a 1, that really made it pretty easy. There's 2 away. Runner still at first, and here's Bill Russell. So 1-2-2. 1-2 is an 11, and a 1-2 is a 1. That's a 12 in column 2. That's a single to left. Runners advance 1 base. And with the runner in front of him, we don't have to check on that stolen base for Russell because he couldn't go anywhere. Say is right there in front of him, blocking the base paths. Runners at first and second. 2 outs for Don Sutton. Sutton, 5-3-1. 5-3 is a 3, and a 5-1 is a 2. That's a total of 5 in column 5, and that is a ground ball to third. First base is not open, so won't be a walk. It'll just be a ground out to third, and that will end the top of the third. So Gullett, much better performance this time around. And we go to the bottom of the third. John Vukovich leading off for the Reds. He hit a robust 211 in 1975. It's a 2-1-4. 2 1's an 11. A 2-4 is a 1. That's a 12, and we've had that result quite a bit. A 12 in column 2 is actually a single. So it's a base hit for Vukovich, and that sets up Gullett to bunt. And on the bunt chart, or bunt rating, Gullett is a 3 bunt rating. And we go to one of our charts for the bunt to see how the bunt turns out. And let's see where that bunt chart is. Gotta find it now. I just had it a second ago. Oh, it's the action chart. My bad. That's in the actual book, not in my handout, I believe. So let's go back and find the bunt play. Here we go. So we're going to use the book this time for the bunt play. And he's a 3 rated bunter. The infield's going to be in looking for it. So we're going to roll 2 D6s plus the blue to check who fields it. But we're referencing this column right here. So I'll roll it right on the book itself. It'll be easier to see. All right, we get a 7. A 7 in column 3. It says sacrifice, so it's a good sacrifice. The blue die is a 3, and a blue die being a 3 means the first baseman fielded it. So it's a good sacrifice to the first baseman. So Garvey will handle it himself, 3 unassisted. And Vukovich will go to third on that sacrifice hit by Gullett. So there's 1 away. Now we're back to the top of the order and Pete Rose. So Rose now has a chance to drive home a run. We get a 5-4-6. 5-4 is a 2. 5-6 is a 3. It's a total of 5. 5 in column 5 would be a ground ball to third, but with runners on and first base open, it's a walk, and first base is open. So Rose will draw a walk. Puts runners at first and second for Joe Morgan. And it's a 5-6-5. 5-6, he's got the double asterisk, so if nobody was in front of him, he could really do some damage, but the base paths are kind of blocked up right now. But it's a 6 for Morgan, and a 5-6 for Sutton is a 3. That's a 9. And a 9 is a walk in column 5. That's going to load the bases. That column 5 is where your walks are coming from. Majority of the walks come from column 5. Bases are loaded with 1 out for Johnny Bench. It's a 2-6-6. And we're in the shaded area of the ballpark again. The Rays number is a 3. But we're going to re-roll and see if that changes. So that new number it's a 6. So that new number becomes a 4. So whoever the outfielder is that's going to catch this has to have a 5 or higher in order to field this. The blue die is a 6, which means we're looking at the right fielder. And in this case, that is Ferguson. And his range is only a 3, so he's not going to get to this. That looping drive is going to fall in for a base hit. And let's see here. Runner advances 1 base, 2 bases if their speed is higher than the outfielder's arm. Well, the speed is Vukovic is probably not very good. We'll do a quick check here. Vukovic, his speed factor is a 3. And the arm of the right fielder, Ferguson, is a 4, so he will not get the 2 bases. He will just get the 1 base. But it is going to be a base hit for Johnny Bench. And Vukovic, all he needed was 1 base. The run on second Rose is the one I'm looking at. I should not have looked at that. His speed's a 4, and it says that if the runner's speed is higher than the outfielder's arm. No, it's not higher, it's the same. So Rose only gets the 1 base. We already know Vukovic is going to score, so he gets his 1 base. Bases are still loaded. Reds are finally on the board. And Tony Perez is up. See if he can do more damage. We get a 4, 4-1. 4-4 is a 17. The infield is a double play depth. 4 is a 17. A 4-1 is the first baseman, Steve Garvey. And Garvey's defensive rating is a 1. So that's a total of 18 in column 4 with the infield halfway. That is going to be a grounder out at first, and the runners advance. So Garvey, the only play he can make was take it to the bag himself. He gets the records the second out of the inning, and Rose will score, give an RBI ground out to Perez, and move the other runners up. It's now a 3-3 ball game. We got a tie ball game on our hands, and Dave Concepcion is up with runners at second and third and 2 outs. It's a 2-1-6. 2-1's a 39. A 2-6 is a 1. That's a total of 40 in column 2. And a 40 in column 2 is a ground out to short. And it says batter misses 1 game. So, but if I'm going to play the season, or if I was playing the season, I would be doing real life transactions. So we're not going to do the injury thing. It's simply going to be a ground out to short. And the inning's over. But the Reds pick up 2 runs. And after 3 innings of play, we are tied at 3. Okay, top 4. I'm not sure how well this is showing up on here, but I did enter the first 3 innings of play in the computer, so we've got our score at 3-3 through 4 innings. And so, like I said, the PC game, the manual entry, particularly right in here, very user-friendly, easy to use, and really helps with keeping track of stats. All right, top 4, Davey Lopes, the batter. And we get a 3, and there's that 3-6 again. And it's the left-right split, and Don Gullett's a lefty, Lopes is a righty, so that is simply a base hit. So that 3-6, whenever it comes up, you're looking at a right-left check, and it checks out for a base hit for Lopes. Here's Buckner. 5-4-5. 5-4 is a 27, and a 5-5 is a 3. That's a 30 in column 5. 30 in column 5 is a fly out to center. That caret there would be a sac fly if it was applicable, but it's not. So it's simply a fly out to center field. Geronimo handles it, 1 away. Brings up the toy cannon, Jimmy Wynn. Jimmy Wynn, 1-2-4. 1-2 is an 11. 1-4 is a 2. That's a 13 in column 2. 13 in column 2. And a 13 in column 2 is a single to left. And 1 base advancement. We've had that 12 and 13 in column 2 a lot. And it's always a 1 base advancement unless there are 2 outs, which there are not. It's only 1 out. So here's Joe Ferguson. Runners at first and second with 1 out. It's a 5-4-4. 5-4 is a 2. And a 5-4 is a 3. It's a total of 5. That's a ground out to third with the infield halfway. It's a fielder's choice. So Ferguson will reach. Wynn is out. Vukovic to Morgan for out number 2. And Lopes will scatter over to third. So runners are at the corners with 2 outs for Steve Garvey. And Garvey has singled and lined to second. It's a 1-4-5. 1-4 is a 35. 1-5 is a 2. That's a 37 in column 1. That's a ground out to second. So he grounds it to Morgan to end the inning, and Gullett pitches out of any trouble. So we go to the bottom of the 4th, and it's still a 3-3 tie as Cesar Geronimo steps in against Don Sutton. It's a 6-6-2, 6-6 for Geronimo. And you can see there's a split there. There's like a fraction. The number to the left, number to the right. If you're facing a left-hander, we'd use this number. Facing a right-hander, we use this number. And it's also the ballpark quality. But right now we're going to stick to this split. So it's an 8 since he's facing the right-hander Sutton. 6-2 off of Sutton is a 2. That's a 10. So a 10 in column 2. But right now it's an 8. But if we go to the ballpark chart, column 6, we're going to re-roll and see what that number 8 changes to. So it was an 8. Let's see if it stays that way. It's a 4. So the 4 with a left-handed batter changes that to a 9. So it's a 9. It went from an 8. It's now a 9. And the 6-2 there is an 11. So 11 in column 6 is a single with a potential home run. A 1 through 5 will be a single. A 6 would be a home run. It's a 6. So there it is. Cesar Geronimo beat the odds again. Remember in the beginning of the game, we had a player, Jimmy Wynn, who needed only not roll a 1 to get a home run, and he rolled a 1, so he didn't get it. This time, Geronimo, anything other than a 6 would have been a single, but he found his 6, and he deposits it over the center field fence. And for the Cincinnati Reds, that is a 2-run home run. And Don Sutton kind of beside himself. Actually, it's a leadoff home run, my bad. It's the start of the inning. So it's a leadoff shot against Sutton. And the Reds have come all the way back to take a lead now. They lead it 4-3. Here is Ken Griffey. It's a 5-4-5. 5-4 is a 3. 5-5 is a 3. It's a total of 6 in column 5. And that is going to be a walk. So a walk to Griffey. Brings up Vukovic. Vukovic actually singled his first time up. It's a 4-3-1 infield double play depth. 4-3 is a 6. 4-1's the first baseman Garvey. He's a 1. That's a total of 7 in column 4. And with the infield halfway, a 7 is a force play at second base. So it's going to be a force play 3-6 on the fielder's choice. Vukovic is on first with 1 out, and Don Gullett. Gullett was a pretty good hitter. He hit 226. They're going to have him swing away with 1 out, not bunt. It's a 1-2-6. 1-2 for Gullett is a 1, and a 1-6 for Sutton is a 2. Total of 3 in column 6, which is a strikeout. So 2 away now for Pete Rose. Runner at first, 2 away. Reds lead it now 4-3. And that's a leaner, so that red die is leaning, so we're going to re-roll this. And we get a 4-6-2. So Pete Rose, 4-6 is a 16. 4-2 is the second baseman Lopes. He's a 2. That's a total of 18 with the infield back. And 18 is a ground out to first. So handled easily there by Lopes to end the inning. And the Reds pick up a run on the home run by Geronimo. And after 4 complete, it's Cincinnati 4, the Dodgers 3. Okay, top 5. Ron Say to lead it off. It's a 5-2-2. 5-2 is a 1. 5-2 there makes it a 2. That's a total of 3 in column 5. And that's going to be a ground out to Morgan. 1 away. Brings up the catcher, Steve Yeager. Yeager, 3-3-3. 3-3 is a 32. 3-3 there is a 1. It's a 33 in column 3. And 33 in column 3 is a line out to center field. Snatched by Geronimo. 2 up, 2 down for Bill Russell. And we got a 6-4-4. 6-4 is a 31. 6-4 is a 1. That's a 32 in column 6. That's a pop up to third. Handled by Vukovic. And the inning is over. So Gullett settling down since that little bit of a snafu in the second inning. He has recovered quite nicely. Now the Reds will come up here in the bottom of the 5th. Joe Morgan against Don Sutton. Morgan struck out and walked. Look at this, 6-6-6. That's a 10 with an asterisk, and that's a 4. For Sutton, makes that a 14 in column 6. That is a home run Home run for Joe Morgan. Little Joe drilled that one. And the Reds now lead it by the score of 5-3. Here's Johnny Bench. Now the Dodger bullpen is loosening. Charlie Huff. All right, it's a 2-5-6. 2-5 is a 16. 2-6 is a 1. It's a 17 in column 2, and that's going to be a strikeout with the bases empty. Had someone been on base, it would have been a fly to center. But the bases were empty. Here's Tony Perez. It's a 5-6-3. 5-6 is a 3, and a 5-3 is a 1. That's a total of 4 in column 5, and that is a ground out to short. So he grounds it right to Bill Russell for out number 2. Brings up Concepcion, and it's a 6-6-1, and we're going into the ballpark again in that shaded area. So it is an 8 right now, but it may change based on this roll of the red die. With the ballpark effect, it's now a 4. So it's a 4 and a right-handed batter. That's going to change to an 8 because as a right-handed batter, that 4 becomes an 8. Actually, it already was an 8, so it doesn't change at all. And then 6-1 for the pitcher, Sutton, is a 1. So that's a total of 9 in column 6. And that's a base hit to center field. So base hit to center for Concepcion. 2-out single. That'll bring up Cesar Geronimo. And that's a 3-5-1. 3-5, and he found a ballpark check again. And that's going to be for this out or single result. Right now the number is a 3, but that can change based on the re-roll of the red die. It is now a 6. So the 6 means we're going to change this to a 62. It went from a 3 to a 62 based on that. And then a 1 for Sutton in column 3 is a 1. That's a total of 63 in column 3. And a 63 in column 3 is a line drive single to center. Runners advance 2 bases. So Geronimo singles, and Concepcion will motor to third. Runners are at the corners with 2 outs for Ken Griffey. Sutton's on his last leg. It's a 2-3-5. 2-3 is a 14. I'm sorry, 2-3 is a 2. And 2-5 is a 2. It's a total of 4 in column 2, which is a strikeout. And that's going to end the inning. So Sutton gets out of it, only allowing the home run to Morgan to lead off the inning. And after 5 complete from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, the score is Cincinnati 5 and Los Angeles 3. Okay, top of the 6th, we got 2 changes for the Reds. New pitcher in the ball game is right-hander Pat Darcy. He is best known for giving up Carlton Fisk's 12th inning home run in Game 6 of the 75 World Series. He's in to pitch. And Manny Mota is going to pinch hit for Don Sutton, as it was his turn at bat. And Mike Marshall, rubber arm Mike Marshall, is in the bullpen for the Dodgers. He will be coming in to pitch the bottom of the 6th. So Manny Mota pinch hitting against Darcy. It's a 5-2-1. 5-2 is a 27. 5-1 is a 2. That's 29 in column 5, and that is a fly to center field. So Manny Mota is retired. Now back to the top of the order, and Davey Lopes. Lopes, a 3-2-5. 3-2 is an 11, and a 3-5 is a 4. That's a total of 15 in column 3, and that's a line out to Morgan at second. And there's quickly 2 away for Bill Buckner. Buckner 0 for 2 with a walk. It's a 1-3-2. 1-3 is a 35. 1-2 is a 4. It's a 39 in column 1. 39 in column 1 is a ground ball to Perez at first. He'll take it to the bag himself, and the inning is over. So 1-2-3 inning turned in by Pat Darcy. That's going to be his only inning because he is scheduled to bat second in the next inning. And right now, John Vukovic is stepping up, and a pinch hitter for the Reds is being called upon, as Mike Marshall will be coming into the pitch for the Dodgers. And the pinch hitter for the Reds is going to be, they got all right-handers in their pinch hitting stable. They're going to go with Merv Retman. So Merv Retman will be the new pinch hitter. He will hit for Darcy, and then we'll get a new pitcher in the sixth. I'm sorry, in the seventh for the Reds. And it looks like in the seventh for the Reds, it will be Clay Carroll. So Clay Carroll will come in and pitch for the Reds. Right now, Mike Marshall facing John Vukovich. It's a 2-6-3, and that's into the shaded area once again. Right now, it's a 3. We'll see what that changes to based on this roll. It stays a 2, so it doesn't change apparently. And still a 3, because when you have a 2 there, it's still a 3. So it's a raised number 3, and the blue die is a 3, which means the outfielder we're checking on is the center fielder. The center fielder, Jimmy Wynn, he is a 4 range, which is higher than this 3 range, so he will make the catch. And Vukovich flies to center. One away, and now the pinch hitter, Merv Retman, is up against Mike Marshall. And we get a 2-1-6. 2-1 is a 42. 2-6 is a 3. That's a 45 in column number 2. And a 45 in column number 2 is a ground out third to first. And if we were playing injuries, he would miss the rest of the game. But as a pinch hitter, it wouldn't matter anyway. He's done. Unless he's brought in on a double switch, he would be out anyway. So there's 2 away for Pete Rose. Score still holding on at 5-3 here in the 6th. It's a 4-6-5, which is a fielding check. 4-6 is a 16. 4-5 is the shortstop, Bill Russell. He's a 3. That's a total of 19. And 19 in column 4 with the infield back is a ground out to end the inning. So that's it for the Reds. Mike Marshall goes through them like a hot knife through butter. We've played 6 complete. The score remains Reds 5, Dodgers 3. Okay, top 7. Clay Carroll is in to pitch for the Reds. Here's Jimmy Wynn. It's a 2-3-4. 2-3 is a 16. 2-4 is a 4. It's a total of 20 in column 2. 20 in column 2 is a fly to right field, handled out there by Griffey. 1 away. That brings up Joe Ferguson. Speaking of right fielders, it's a 1-6-5. 1-6-5. 1-6 a 45. 1-5 is a 4. That's a total of 49 in column 1. And that's going to be a strikeout with the bases empty. It is a strikeout. So Ferguson down on strikes. Brings up Steve Garvey. And that's a 5-1-6. 5-1 is a 1. 5-6 is a 3. It's a total of 4. 4 in column 5 is a grounder to Concepcion at short. And the inning is over. And we have 7th inning stretch time. Mike Marshall back on the mound for his 2nd inning of work. He's rubber-armed. He can go as many innings as they need him to. And Joe Morgan will be the leadoff batter here in the bottom of the 7th. Get a 5-4-3. 5-4 is a 3. And a 5-3 is a 2. That's a total of 5 in column 5. And that is a ground ball to third. Handled out there by Ron Say. 1 away. Ron Say. Right, here's Johnny Bench. 6-6-5. Could be trouble. That's 6-6. That's an 11. And 6-5 for Marshall is a 3. That's a 14 in column 6. And a 14 in column 6 is a no doubt about it home run. And Johnny Bench just laid waste to that pitch. Sent it deep into the Riverfront outfield pavilion, close to the upper deck. And it's now a 6-3 lead for the Reds. They have scored 6 unanswered runs. Here's Tony Perez. That's a 6-3-2. 6-3 is a 16. 6-2 is a 2. It's an 18. And an 18 in column 6 is a deep fly out to left for out number 2. Brings up Concepcion. Concepcion, a 1-3-6. 1-3 is a 3. 1-6 is a 2. That's a total of 5. And anything 6 or less in column 1 is a strikeout to end the inning. But Johnny Bench, his blast, has given the Reds another run of cushion. And after 7 complete from Riverfront Stadium, score is Cincinnati 6 and Los Angeles 3. All right, top of the 8th, and Ron Say will lead things off for the Dodgers against Clay Carroll. It's a 6-1-5. 6-1's a 16. 6-5 is a 1-17 in column 1. And that is a deep fly to left. And there's 1 away. Brings up Steve Yeager, the Jägermeister. It's a 1-5-1. 1-5 is a 5. 1-1 is a 3. That's an 8 in column 1, and that's going to be a pop up to third. The little caret sign means it would have been a sac fly had the situation presented itself, but it did not. Simple pop up to Vukovic for out number 2. Brings up Bill Russell. Russell, a 3-2-5. 3-2 is a 2. 3-5 is a 3. That's total of 5 in column 3. And that is a fly to left to end the top of the 8th. So nothing doing for the Dodgers. Mike Marshall will be set to lead off the top of the 9th, but he's still going to pitch the bottom of the 8th. And he'll be facing Cesar Geronimo, Ken Griffey, and John Vukovic. And if anybody gets on, we'll get a pinch hitter for Clay Carroll as Will McEnany is loosening in the bullpen. It is a 5-3-5 for Geronimo. 5-3 is a 40 with a G on it, which means we would go to the action chart if he reaches. So it's a 40, and then a 5-5 is a 3. That's a 43 in column 5. And that's a base on balls, so he does reach, and we do go to the action chart. So we'll see what happens with this action chart. And we've got the old action chart right here, so we'll roll directly on it. It was a G, so we're going to roll 2 D6s and see what happens in here. We'll roll the blue die just in case it's needed. But we're really looking at the red and white die, adding them up, and that's a 2. 1-1 is a 2 in column G. That is a caught stealing. And a 6, let's see here, I'm not sure if the 6 doesn't really come into play in this particular check. So it's simply going to be a caught stealing, and we'll call it 2-6. So Geronimo drew a leadoff walk, but then got caught stealing, so he's out of there. Brings up Ken Griffey. Okay, it's a 6-1-3. 6-1-3. 6-1 is a 16. And a 6-3 is a 2. That's a total of 18 in column 6, which is a fly to left for out number 2. Brings up John Vukovic. Vukovic, a 3-2-6. 3-2 is a 2. 3-6 is a 4. That's a total of 6 in column 3. That's a fly ball to center field, and the inning is over. So we go to the top of the 9th. New pitcher on for the Reds. We'll be right back with that new pitcher. And a pinch hitter for Marshall right after this. Okay, top 9, and Lee Lacy is the pinch hitter for Mike Marshall. And Will McEnany is in for the Reds to try to close it down. It would be a save because it's a 3-run ball game. So it's a 6-3 score. Lee Lacy to lead things off here in the top of the 9th. It's a 5-1-4. 5-1 is a 4, and a 5-4 is a 1. That's kind of a tongue twister. 5-1 is a 4, 5-4 is a 1. Total of 5 in column 5. That's a ground ball to third baseman Vukovic, and Lee Lacy is retired. One away for Davey Lopes. Dodgers running out of outs. 6-1-1. 6-1's a 31. 6-1 there is a 1. It's a 32. That's a pop out to Vukovic for out number 2. And the Reds are 1 out away from an opening day victory over the Dodgers. Here's Bill Buckner. Buckner, a 2.66. And that's the shaded area. So we go to the ballpark again. Right now it's a 1, but that can certainly change based on this red die. It's a 4. So in column 2, a 4 now becomes a 3. So that 1 will change to a 3. So that is a 3 there. The blue die is a 6, which means we are looking at the right fielder Griffey. Griffey's range is a 3, which is not greater than this 3. It would have been greater than the 1, but not that the 3 it got changed to. So this is going to drop in for a base hit. That is a 2-out single for Buckner. So the ballpark, Riverfront Stadium, gave him that base hit. Keeps the inning going, the ball game going for Jimmy Wynn, the toy cannon. Wynn, 4-3-4. 4-3 is a 5. 4-4 is the shortstop, Concepcion, who is a 1. That's a total of 6 in column 4. And a 6 in column 4 is a ground out, regular ground out, and the ball game is over. The Cincinnati Reds have defeated the Los Angeles Dodgers here on opening day by the final score of 6-3. Be right back with the totals and thoughts in just a moment. All right, a little hard to see, I guess, trying to put a phone on this computer screen. A lot easier if you have I forget the program it is, but it's something that captures the screen directly. But since I'm recording on the phone, I don't have a way to do that. I'm not that technically savvy. But you can see the final score, 6-3 Cincinnati with the victory. 6 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Reds. 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. Winning pitcher was Don Gullett. The loser was Don Sutton. And Will McEnany gets his first save. And as we scroll down here to home runs, you see Cesar Geronimo had a homer. And so did Joe Morgan and Johnny Bench. So 3 Reds home runs. Pretty much the difference in the game. And let's see, left on base. Do I see a left on base? Cincinnati left 5. Dodgers left 9. And the Dodgers were 1 for 6 as runners in scoring position. The Reds were 2 for 6. So pretty interesting way that this. I like the way the computer game works. You keeping the stats, and then if I want to just play one team's games, I can always let the computer auto play the rest. So that's the way the final score ends it. Don Gullett the winner, Don Sutton the loss, Will McEnany the save, Johnny Bench gets the MVP. So there is the look at replay baseball. And like I said, it's a game I don't get to play all that often, but I might start to try to put it back into my rotation a little bit more, especially with the computer game. It's able to help me accumulate stats if I want to do a particular replay of a season. So that's it from here. Hope everybody has a great day playing whatever game you choose to play. And until next time, we'll see you down the road.